We are going to do a flow for the liver meridian this morning. Liver meridian runs up the inside line of your leg, enters the body at the groin. The pair, because all of these meridians are in pairs, is the gallbladder meridian. So you might get some outer hip pulls as well. So anytime we pull along the inside lines of the legs and into the groin, some twisting will help as well. We're going to nourish these lines and hit trigger points. Start however you would like, whether you'd like to sit or lie on your back. If you're lying back, remember, bend the knees and have the inner knees resting together, foot soles planted. If you're seated, just one foot in front of the other is just a comfortable, relaxed position. If you want to sit in half lotus, feel free, as long as it's not a strain, because this is just meditation here. So the whole point of yin being developed was to strengthen the low hips, or the hips and the low back, so that you could sit in meditation for hours, the yogis. Hands in your lap, on the thighs, palms up or down, or by your sides, palms up or down. If you're lying back, they can be on your belly, or they can be one hand on your belly, one hand on your heart. Shrug your shoulders up to your ears, and then let them slide down your back away from your ears, and tuck your chin in slightly to lengthen the back of the neck, letting your eyes fall softly shut. Just settling in for this first centering meditation, letting go of your morning thus far. Let go of today, whatever things are on the list to do. Let go of anxieties and worries just for this next hour. This next hour is known. We know exactly what we are doing. And so we'll look for that inner peace. And so do a body scan now. Take note if there are any areas that are maybe in need of a little extra attention this morning, a little extra care. Areas on any level, physical, mental, spiritual, emotional. And it's not that you'll dwell on whatever it may be or whatever arises, but create acknowledgement, some space as well for whatever does arise. When we check in again at the end of the class with how you're feeling, you may notice things have subtly shifted in perspective or sensation. And next, begin to notice your breath. Don't change anything, just become aware of it. Whereabouts in your chest cavity are you breathing? Most likely the upper chest. How fast are you breathing? Are you breathing through your nose or your mouth, or a bit of both? So begin to breathe in and back out again through your nose. Pull that air in, past the rings of your nostrils. Trace its path as it flows up your nose, down your throat, into your lungs. And then back out that same pathway. Feel the swirl past the rings of the nostrils as the breath exits the body. Notice a difference in temperature there. As the breath enters, it's cool. And as the air exits from your body, it's warmer. Something we know, but it's a place you can focus on if you like. Notice how your breath is slowing down and deepening. Maybe the diaphragm is working a little more, the belly's moving a little more as we get to the bottom of the lungs, where the air tends to stagnate since we tend to be upper chest breathers. Relax your shoulders. Especially when we're anxious, the breath shortens. So this is another way to help calm us down if we're in anxious times, by deepening your breath. Start to even out the breath next. Put a count to 2 or 3 as you pull the air in, and the same steady count as you send it back out again. Adding another number as the breath deepens, matching the numbers to your breath. Don't force your breath to be what you think it should be. If the counting doesn't work, remember there's that mantra, that little phrase. I am breathing in. I am breathing out. Matching that phrase to your inhales and your exhales. On another inhale, take your attention to your rib cage. Notice how it moves in 4 directions. The fronts lift and separate. The backs poof out. Maybe you feel them press into your mat if you're lying back. Sides of your ribs. Not as much movement, but still some. And then that pearly white rib cage contracts as you exhale. Go to your lungs now. Take a look at them, but feel them. See them with your mind's eye. Healthy, pink, virtual sponges filling up the majority of your chest cavity. Notice how they expand in those same 4 directions, the fronts, the backs. Think of the inner and the outer sides of your lungs thickening, taking in air, nourishing every cell in your body, this life-giving process. Know that they turn a glowing rosy pink as you inhale and that they turn slightly blue as you exhale. See them contract, feel them contract beneath your rib cage. This lovely flowing process, your breath in and back out, is your yogic breath. It's the main breath that we use in yin, and it helps anchor our mind inside our body. Gives our mind a place to focus. But the other reason for much emphasis on breath in yoga is in yin for sure. It'll let you know if you're working too hard or pushing, if it becomes ragged, and you know you need to back off or modify, so that you can always come back to this most important part of any style of yoga, your breath. Now, if you are lying back, make your way to one side. Everyone can blink their eyes open and closed a few times. If you're seated, you'll want to lift your knees, straighten them out, give them a little bounce and a rock from the top of the hips. Push through the heels, point the toes. When you're ready from lying on your back, come to a seated position, help yourself up. This first one we're going to do is a common one that we start off with, yin. Can aggravate sciatica, so if you have a little quilt, sit your sit bones just on the edge of it, or roll the end of your yoga mat over and just perch just on the end of it, so you have that slight lift and a tip forward. Bring your foot soles together and let your knees flare open to the sides like so. You have a nice diamond shape here. Don't pull your feet in too close. Have them far away from you, unless you have issues with your low back, and then you'll want to pull them in a little closer, but it's not as close as Baddha Konasana in a yang style. Blocks can help you here. Use them under the side of the thigh, perhaps, or if you like, put them inside, and then you can rest your forearms on it when you start to lean forward. So start leaning forward now. Let your low back round if you have no disc issues with your low back. This is a really nice, really nice decompression for your low back. Been out gardening a little bit, so it was so nice here yesterday. Probably did some yard work. You might feel a little bit cranky in your back this morning. You can move the block to your feet if you like. Rest your arms, or even set your elbows on the block and rest your head in your hands. If it's okay for the back of your neck, let your head dangle, but you can also rest it on the block as well. Steady breathing. Come back to the breathing that you had at the beginning. In through the nose, back out through your nose. Remember that there's just 3 principles for yin. And the first one is find your edge. So when you leaned forward, you found a place where you just kind of stop. You could go past it, but it would involve muscles and pulling. And we don't do that in yin. We just hang out at that edge. So that place, and it's not usually a real happy place. There's a little bit of discomfort, tugging in various areas. You can probably notice the groin and the inner lines of the legs. Probably at the same time you're noticing the outer lines of the legs getting some sensation too. Maybe there's some pressure in the ankles. That's why I swiveled sideways, because on the hard floor, bone on hard floor is not too comfortable. But you might notice pressure on the ankles on your mat. Maybe you can feel this lovely pull across the shoulder blades, maybe even along your neck if you're letting your head dangle. And so once we find this edge, then, as I said, we kind of hang out there. We find stillness. That's the second principle. We try not to back away from the discomfort, but be still and try to relax in the face of that discomfort. If there's any pain, then for sure we back away. We change things, we modify, because we never want to stay with pain, especially when we hold these poses for minutes instead of breaths. The other part of the stillness is that inner stillness, coming back to your breath, thinking about your lungs, the life-giving process, but also being aware, that inner stillness, noticing when maybe things shift a little that you can, or release a little, you can go a little further forward and surrender to gravity. Maybe you notice that your jaw is clenched, so relax your jaw. Maybe you can feel that there's a little bit of tension or hanging on in your shoulders. Send your breath there. Try to relax that area. So the edge changes throughout the hold of the pose. When you do start to pay attention to these fine changes, subtle letting goes in the body. On your next inhale, you're going to slowly uncurl your way up, and that's the third tattva, or the third principle, is this time holding for minutes. Lean back on your hands, let your legs be where they are, just to release through the groin and the low back as well. And then when you're ready, set those foot soles down about the width of your mat and just go through some nice easy windshield wipers. Inner knee, outer knee of the opposite leg going towards the floor. Straighten those legs out when you're ready. Give them a little bounce, a rock, and then swing around and come onto all fours. You might want a little extra padding under your knees for this next one, so take your quilt and lie it across your mat. Okay, and then we are going to start with our left leg forward here. So where your left hand is, back a little bit here, where your left hand is, you're going to put your left foot there. Okay, help it forward if you need to. Use your toes or to creep your leg forward. Make sure your joints are stacked here, so you have ankle underneath knee, and get that left arm on the outside of that foot. Kind of work the kneecap into the shoulder. Tuck your right toes under and move your right leg back until you kind of start to feel that, almost like splits feeling, and that's perfect. Look back, make sure that leg is nice and straight behind you. Top of the foot is resting on the floor. You can be on your fingertips for a little bit of this dragon pose, or all of it if you feel so inclined. The majority of the weight is on your legs, your foot, your left foot, and your extended right leg. Feel how strong the compression is in your left foot there, left hip. a good bend there. Feel the pull that you're getting in the front of your right hip. And as you slowly relax a little bit, you can increase that pull. So easy does it. Your breath will let you know. Don't make it intense. Don't make it sensational. You want to feel sensation, but don't make it sensational. Another good phrase of Bernie's. If you need to switch your hands, go to fists or flat hands. Oh, a block can be underneath your hand to give you that extra little bit of weight, or length, if you like. And don't let your head drop. Look on the floor in front of you, about 1 meter, 3 feet. Close your eyes. This is Baby Dragon. We're holding it for 1.5 minutes today. Just about done. Now inhale, bring your left arm inside, so you're on the inside of that left foot. Come down maybe to your forearms. Grab that block here so you can see. You can bring the block inside and rest on it like that. Maybe you go onto your mat. You can see me there. Some of you. And then wherever you are resting, shift your weight to your right hand and twist your body towards that inner left knee. You can use your left hand just to rest on it, but don't push that knee out. Okay, we're keeping that knee flat, the foot flat, and that knee mostly going up towards the ceiling. So this is just a place to rest your hand. Twist your body. You can twist it, bring the twist into your head and into your neck, if you like, by turning your head and looking up to the ceiling. Notice that the legs probably kicked in a little bit, so relax them. Breathing in, breathing out. So this is a strong pull through the groin. Deep work into the hip sockets. The twisting is giving just a little bit of a squeeze to those inner organs. So the liver itself maybe getting a bit of a squeeze, compression here. Check that your jaw is relaxed. Now inhale, unwinding, plant your hands, come up, tuck those back toes under and push your hips, lifting them up and back. Straighten that left leg, bring your left hand on the outside for balance and support. Rock up onto the heel if you like. Feeling that delicious spearmint feeling flow through your hips, your legs, maybe a little bit in your back as well, as the blood rushes back in. And then bring your leg back down, set your knee down. We're going to tuck our toes under and push up into a downward facing dog. Stay still for a few breaths. Just putting a little bit of work into our legs after the intensity of that dragon pose. And then walk the dog, lift one heel at a time, bending the opposite toes. Just moving those legs a little bit. Come high onto all 10 toes, give them a really good bend. Push into your hips up high in the air. Set your heels down, push into those heels, giving those hamstrings a nice little tug. And then set your knees down. And then we'll do that on the right side. Good thing I say we only have 2 legs, so I only have to do it one more time. Where your right hand is, put your right foot there. Reset this. And then get that kneecap kind of into the armpit to give your right hand a little length. This is where you can use a block under your hand or under both hands. Tuck your left toes under and move your left leg back. And then set the top of the foot down. Look back, make sure that leg is nice and straight. And then we're looking on the floor in front of us, about that 3 feet meter mark. Maybe on your fingertips, or maybe you're on your flat hands, or you're on your fists. Dragons can actually help with sciatica. So, because of them working so deeply into the hip sockets, they are so beneficial for us. Since we tend to not take our hips to their full extensions or rotations either. This can be very good for us. Steady breathing. This is one pose where the ocean breath can help you. In through your nose. back out through your nose. Noticing if you can gently relax a little bit more. And noticing how the pull is intensified as you relax. So use your leg muscles a little bit to take some of that pull off if you need to. That ocean or ujjayi breath can give your mind something to listen to, focus on. Now inhale, bring your right hand inside so that both hands are inside. This is where we come to that twisting dragon. So if you rest on a block, then bring it inside and rest your forearm on the block or go down onto your mat. This is where we twist towards the knee, but don't push the knee at all. Just rest your hand there. I'll swivel around so you can see. Oops, this way. What am I doing? There we go. You can bring it into your neck if it's okay for your head by bring it into your neck if it's the twist. If it's okay though, if it bothers your neck, just leave your neck neutral. Feel that deep squeeze that you're getting through the abdomen. This is also nice for your spine, this twisting that we're doing. Steady breathing in and back out. Remember that ocean breath, you say that HA sound in the back of your throat, but you push it through your nose. Now inhale, unwinding, plant your hands. Tuck your back toes under, push into those hips, lifting them up and back. Get your right hand on the outside for stability there. Rock up onto that heel, give your hamstring a lovely tug. Enjoy that release. That's the best part of dragons, I always say, is coming out. They just feel fabulous. And then pull that foot back down, heel toe if you need to. Set it down. Pause for a moment on all fours just to enjoy more of that blood rushing into those areas, and then tuck your toes under and push up into down dog again. Stay still for the first few breaths. Again, just noticing each leg, each hip, and then walking the dog just like we did before. Come high on all 10 toes, give them a good bend. Send your hips up and back, send the heels down, another good hamstring tug, push through your hands. And then set the knees down, sink back to child's pose. Just letting that go, regrouping. Thought for today is from Glennon Doyle while you're just breathing in child's pose. Be confident because you are a child of God, the universe, the light. Be humble because everyone else is too. Slowly come up, swing your legs to one side or cross them and roll over, coming to a seated position. The next one can aggravate sciatica, so it's another one where you might want to sit on your hips on the edge of your rolled up yoga mat. This one is important for to get the alignment right. So we're going to start with bending our right leg in. Line it up with the side edge of your mat, whether you're sitting sideways or I am for the camera, but you'll be facing there. So line it up with the top edge of your mat. Your shin is parallel. Flex your foot gently. Let that knee come out. If you want, this is a great one where you can use a block under your knee. And then take your left leg and see if you can set it on top. Okay, this is also known as log pose. In yin, it's square pose. If there's a gap here, then put a block there. And maybe eventually when we lean forward, you'll find that you'll be able to take it away. If this doesn't happen, if getting your knee up here is your ankle is not coming to your inner knee, you want to not have your feet together, and if that won't go there, then set the foot in front of the knee. Okay, so and the lineup then is ankle by knee and knee by ankle. So think of that, so the ankles are not together, the knees are not going out, the knees are actually just not too much flared out from your hips. So log pose side by side, or one on top of the other, like so. Now, lean forward, plant your hands, and push back a little bit. That'll just keep the weight back in the hips and off the knees. So even as you're rounding your way forward, working your way forward, and allowing your back to round if it is okay, or keep it flat if it isn't, and just lean from the hips. Just keep, even as you're doing that, keep a little bit of weight in your hands so that the weight, or pressure, so that the weight stays back in the hips and not on the knees. And if there's any kind of knee issues, then for sure use blocks to support, or don't come so far forward. Stay here and just have it be all about the hips, because it really is about the hips. The reason we lean forward is to increase the compression and increase the sensation in the hips. So if you have plenty going on, sitting and barely leaning forward, then stay here, whether you have your legs on top or side by side. No knee pain at all. And make sure that your feet are not by your hips. Look down at your shins, and they're in that parallel, lined up position. Steady breathing here. Blocks can be nice if you're not using them between your thigh and the mat, or your knee and your foot. You can set them in front of you and rest your head, maybe. Let your arms relax. Use them to rest your forearms on, or again your elbows, and set your head in your hands. If it feels good to let your neck dangle, then do that. Riding your breath in, just like a wave coming into shore. Riding it back out again, relaxing. Think, breathe in, slow down, breathe out, let go. Notice each hip. Maybe there's a slightly different sensation. Make sure there's no pain at all. This is another one of those lovely yin poses that can be fairly intense, but you do not have to take it to, and you should never take it to a level that you can't breathe steady and slowly. Just at that comfortable discomfort level. But it's pretty much accessible to everybody as long as you use a block to modify. On your next inhale, slowly uncurl back up. Exhaling when you get all the way up. Now, if you are sideways on the mat, this happens quite nicely. Take that left leg, it's in front or it's on top, and set it down. And then see if you like, you can swivel around and come directly into Swan by stretching out your back leg, and you magically are ready for Swan. If that just doesn't really work for you, then for sure come to all fours and go into Swan the regular way. So slide your left knee behind your left wrist, swivel that foot up to where it just kind of stops, tuck your right toes under, and then creep your leg back so that you've got that right leg extended, just like in dragons. Top of the foot is down. If you find that you're quite crooked like this and you can't seem to get this hip to point down, use a block or something. Maybe you don't need a block, maybe that makes you too high. Use a blanket, a quilt, under that left butt cheek just to level out your low back. So you want to have this nice level low back here. Make sure that you're not sitting on this foot. We're not doing pigeon. So it can be at an angle, 45-degree angle or whatever angle you need. You can work to have it getting to be more parallel, but don't put any torque or any pain in that knee. And if you move your leg apart and that makes you go crooked, then don't sacrifice the alignment of the pose. You want to make sure that you don't have this twisted spine. You want to be nice and straight. And walk your hands back a little bit and notice how that increases the back bend here. Drop your shoulders, tuck your chin in a little bit, close your eyes. Breathe in. You can flex your left foot a little bit to help protect the knee. Relax those shoulders. Relax the legs as much as you can. If this is not working with blocks at all, then now breathe in. We're going to come to Sleeping Swan. I'll give you the modification for those of you that maybe have some knee issues that this isn't going to work. Come onto your backs. So those of you going into Sleeping Swan, you can put your elbows out to the side, stack your hands, rest your head on a block if you like. You can have your head on your mat, arms out in front of you, palms in prayer, or flat down like you're Superman flying. Notice how the back bend is gone and the pull in the front of the hip. If you are finding that this isn't working for you, even by propping a block under your hip, go onto your back and do the same pose with your left leg bent, ankle is above your knee. You can, if you don't feel that there's enough going on in the hip here, you can lift your right leg off, reach through and clasp below the knee if you like. Keep sending that left knee away from you and keep your foot gently flexed to protect that knee as well. And you can increase how much you pull in, but remember, don't use your muscles too much, just a little bit so that you're getting that tugging into the hip, and that keeps the pressure off the knee. So that's an alternative for knees. This is another one where you can use your ocean breath in through the nose, back out through the nose. Liver meridian begins at your big toe, so you can probably find it of your extended leg. What happens if you push a little bit into that? Runs up the inner lines of your leg, as I said, entering the groin. It also connects with the meridian. And then there's 3 branches after that. One goes up towards the eyes and ends at the eyes. Another circles the lips, and the third goes to the crown of your head. Tao thinking is that the liver chi is so central to our overall well-being that they actually nicknamed it the general of the army. It controls, regulates the flow of chi within our body. So it is important to strengthen liver chi. When things are balanced, there's an easygoing disposition. Feathers don't get ruffled very easily. Internal atmosphere is quite peaceful and balanced. On your next inhale, slowly come back up. We can get out of this in 2 ways. See if you can tuck your toes under of your extended leg and push into those toes and those hands and step right back to downward facing dog. If you are on your back, go to your side and pause there before you come up and join us. You can go to your all fours and then tuck toes and go up into down dog. So a couple of different ways. Remember, stay still for a few breaths and then take yourself through the walking the dog. Putting some motion back through those. Come high on your toes. Again, always so good to bend our toes, really good bend. Send the heels down, give those toes a little crunch as well. First place we start to age is our feet, and we start to notice it. And then we'll do that on the other side. So we'll start off with square pose. So swing your legs around and come to a seated position or cross at the ankles. This time our right leg will end up on top, so we're going to set up our left leg first. Flex that foot a little bit. Remember the knees going out to the side and your ankle is away from your hips here. So nice parallel line here. Bring your right leg this time. See if it'll go on top. Use a block, remember, under your thigh, or if it's fairly high up, set it in between. Remember, if it's really high up like this and you can't seem to get it, then put it in front, ankle by knee, ankle by knee. And setting your hips on something just for that slight lift and tilt forward. Plant your hands on the floor in front of you. Push back a little bit because that'll help keep the weight back in your hips. And then and nothing on the knees, no pain here. Start to work your way forward. Remember, a block can be in front of you as well. Maybe your head goes on it. Maybe it's your forearms. Maybe it's put it to another side, your elbows, and rest your head. The weight of your head, if you are letting it dangle and relax, gravity works on it, pulling you forward as well. So that can be quite nice for that surrendering into the discomfort of square pose. Another intense one for us Westerners because we don't live on the floor. Feel that outer rotation happening in your hip joints, both of them. Notice the sensation on the inside line of your legs and the outside line of your legs. Is one more intense than the other? Inner line, outer line. Is one hip rotation more intense than the other? For me, it's my right hip, the one on top. Let your spine round if it's okay for your low back. Let your head dangle if you like, if you're not resting it on anything. If your low back shouldn't be rounding or it bothers you to do that, then keep that tummy pulled in. Just lean with a flat back from the hips. Again, keeping that just slight pressure in your forearms or your hands, just to keep that weight off the knees and into the hips. One more minute here. Square is one of the best poses for us Westerners. My first yin teacher would always tell us that, because of it working so deeply and in such a way with our feet away from our hips, they're not tucked in, that it definitely changes the angle as well when you're rotating your hip in that outer rotation. If there's liver imbalances, back to the Taoists and the acupressure and the acupuncture, but acupressure that we're doing, parts of yin. If there's imbalance in the liver, then we can find just unreasonable anger, irritability. My friend Danielle, my nurse friend who is with us this morning, told me that was so interesting when I said that about the liver meridian, because often patients that come in with liver disease and liver problems are very grouchy, angry. And sometimes these poses that touch on trigger points in the liver meridian within yin can make us feel suddenly very irritable and grumpy. But breathe through it. Try to stay calm and know that something deep is maybe needing to leave your body. On your next inhale, slowly come up. Exhale when you get there. Again, see if you can come right into Swan by taking that front leg, top leg off, or the front leg if it's on the floor, just set it there, swivel around, straighten out your back leg. Remember, you can put something underneath that right hip to level out your hips. Sometimes just picking up and straightening them down. Remember, you can come into this from all fours again. If you're doing that, then slide your right knee up to your right wrist and then see how that feels. And remember, if this doesn't feel so good, then for your knee, then you have that option of doing it on your back, ankle above the knee. Send that right knee away, and that can be enough work into the hip for you. No twinges on the knee. If you need to increase it, bring in that bottom leg like we did before. We spend the first minute in full swan. So move your torso back a little bit and notice right away the back bend that happens, but notice the pull in the front of your left hip. That shows you how the ligaments there, large ligaments, lots of them to hip flexors and IT bands to hold this femur of ours into position, how that pulls. Now inhale, and it shows you that the front of the hip is related to back bends. Walking your hands forward here, coming to sleeping swan. Feel free to take your time, rest on your forearms or stay on your forearms the whole time. Remember, block under your head if you like, or put your forehead flat on your mat. Stretch your arms out in front of you, palms together in prayer, or palms flat. Relax your shoulders. Relax your jaw. Breathe in. Breathe out. This is one where you can use that ocean breath as well. Think about your ribs expanding and contracting on the exhale. Notice the complete difference rotations in each hip. You've got an outer rotation in your right hip. We're adding compression with leaning forward and that knee going slightly to the side. And then the extended left leg, feel that not as intense pull in the front of the hip as when we were in full swan, but still there's some pressure there and pressure right down the center of that extended leg. That hip is doing something completely different. We take all these rotations and movements for granted until we're injured, so kind of take the time to marvel at how beautiful and incredible a piece of work your body is. Just a few more breaths. Now on an inhale, slowly come up. If you're on your back, go to one side and pause before joining us. See if you can tuck your back toes under from seated and step right back to that down dog, or go to all fours from your back or from swan. Staying still, noticing this different feeling, sensation in each leg. Take time to notice and enjoy coming out. Feel that blood rushing through those compressed areas. When you're ready, walking the dog again, pushing through the hamstrings. Come high on all 10 toes. Send your heels down. Send your hips up and back. Pull your tummy in. Nice big long stretch after those intense poses, and then set your knees down and come onto your tummies. We're going to start off just resting your forehead on your stacked hands. Just take time to regroup for a moment. And then when you're ready, we'll start off with the baby cobra pose. So take your head off your hands, bring your hands down under your shoulder heads like that, and your elbows are by your ribs like little grasshopper legs. Your head is off your mat. Your nose is only a couple of inches off the mat. Relax your bum, relax your legs here, and you'll notice that there's a little bit of work happening just to lift this much of your torso off, which isn't very much. Shoulders, shoulder heads, collarbones in your head. If you're okay, slide forward and come to rest on your forearms. Kid watching TV pose. Line your arms up with the side edges of your mat, nice and parallel. Palms can be flat, or you can bring them together in prayer. So you have kind of a triangle shape here, or you might like to clasp opposite elbows. So any one of those 3 arm positions, pick one. Don't let your head drop here. Look on the floor in front of you, that magic meter, 3 feet mark, and then close your eyes. So this keeps your head in that nice string of pearls, your spine in that nice string of pearls alignment in your neck vertebrae. Instead of being dropped, then they're in that nice alignment. Breathing in, breathing out. Relax the bum, relax the legs. This one is a great one for both the urinary bladder and kidney meridian lines. So just giving us a little bit of energizing when we target kidney chi. It supports all of the meridians. With some intense poses, it's kind of nice to do this, and we've done a lot of forward bending, so a little bit of back bending is always a good counter to that. You can enhance this pose breathing along your spine. Think of the base of the tailbone and pull that air up along the back of your spine to the base of your skull. As you exhale, travel down the front of your spine. Back to the front of your tailbone. Go around. Inhale up the back. Right to the base of your skull. Exhale down the front of your spine. This helps lift energy that tends to pool at the base of our spine, especially by sitting and standing all day. In the beginning, we're not so bad, and our spine's not so compressed as it is by the end of the day. But just that simple energetic work with our breath can really help give us a little bit more sense of lightness. Now from here, tuck your chin in and then lift it up towards the ceiling. This pulls into your throat. Good tug on the ligaments in the front of our necks, which tend to weaken with age, but also all the computer work we do these days, on and off the job, handheld devices, our ligaments get weaker. Don't do this if you get any kind of dizziness. Bring your chin back down. This is good stimulus for the thyroid gland as well. Slight pressure in those elbows. Relax the bum and the legs as much as you can. Now inhale. Bring your chin back down, turn your elbows out to the side, stack your hands with your favorite hand on top, turn your head to one side, just like you're resting on a pillow. Puff your low back out with your breath, helping to release it. And then you have choices. You can stay still. You can bring the leg that's the same direction that you're facing, drag it up alongside you and lie with one bent and one straight. Or if you need motion through the pelvis and low back, bend both of your legs in the air and wave them back and forth, windshield wiper style. Just till things settle down, and then let those legs float back on down. I'm going to come up just for 2 minutes this second time. And we'll take it a little deeper if you like. So set up for Sphinx Pose again, elbows under shoulders, nice alignment, arms parallel. You have options. From this, you can just increase it a little bit if you like by opening the legs and stay with what you did before. If you want to take it to seal, then you're going to wing your palms out to the short edges of your mat and push into them, straightening your arms. You can walk your arms back if you like, coming up even higher. You can keep your legs parallel, or you can open the legs in seal. Your back's feeling good. And then here, if you're in seal, push into your arms, rise up out of the shoulders so your arm muscles are working, which will increase the bend even more. Or you can drape down into the shoulders like that. And it'll change subtly. So don't always stick to one way of doing seal. Try something else as well and notice the difference. So pushing into those arms, rising up out of the shoulder girdle, or draping, hunching down into the shoulder girdle. Wherever you are, relax your butt and your leg muscles as much as you can. Steady breathing. Pull the air in along your spine. Now bring this into your head again, into your neck vertebrae. If it's okay for your neck, don't do it if it bothers you. Pull your chin in and then lift that chin up. Something that one of my not yin teachers told us once, and do this very gently, is when your chin is up in the air, open your mouth a little bit and you can let your head go further back and then gently bring your teeth together. That can help with TMJ, she said. Wherever you are, you're breathing steadily in through your nose, back out through your nose. Now take one last deep inhale and then come all the way down on your exhale. Turn those elbows out to the sides again. Stack your hands with the other hand on top that doesn't feel quite natural. And turn your head the opposite direction, puffing your low back out to help release it. And then whatever further release you took on the first side, take it here, letting that all go. Sending your spine some gratitude for being healthy. And then let that leg float back on down. Pretty marvelous what we can do with this arcing up. From here, we're going to just swivel right over onto our backs. Getting ready for final Shavasana, relaxation. Maybe you want to slip on a hoodie, have a quilt ready. So arms are going to come out to a T. We're going to take our left leg, bend both of our legs, and cross our left leg on top, left knee on top like that. Leave the leg along the side if you like, or hook, doesn't matter. Scoot your right hip under a little bit and let those knees drop slowly over to the right. This is where a block can be really handy. With the weight of our legs in twisted roots, tends to pull our left shoulder up off our mat, and we want to try to keep this open chest as much as possible. Set a block underneath those legs if you like. Turn your head if you like, and look to the outstretched right. Sorry, that would be the left hand, looking to the outstretched left hand. Leave your arms out in a T, because with them crossed, you don't even have to put any extra weight on your legs. Scooting that right hip under a little bit sometimes can help with getting a little bit deeper of a twist. Steady breathing in through your nose, still using your yogic breath. Back out through the nose. Feel your open heart, open chest. If it bothers your neck to turn your head, then don't. Keep the back of your head on your mat. Think about your left ear, that it could come to your mat. Relax those legs as much as you can. And once again, think about the marvelous spine that you had. We were arcing up in Sphinx and Seal Pose. We've been forward bending, now we're twisting. Pretty amazing. The front of your spine that rests deep in your pelvis, facing over to the right. Travel along your spine, noticing where it flattens between your shoulder blades. And then if you're turning your head, the front of your spine, deep in your neck, behind your throat, is facing 180 degrees, pretty much opposite to your pelvis area, the spine there. So send your spine gratitude for being healthy and all the marvelous things that it allows you to do throughout the day and night. Now inhale your knees back up to the center, undo them, plant your foot soles, push into them, lift your hips into the air, and then set your hips down. Cross your knees with the right one on top, hook that calf, scoot your left hip under a little bit, let those knees drop slowly over to the left. Turn your head if you like, looking over to the right this time. Move the block under the knees if you need to. Slow down a little bit. There we go. Try to keep your both shoulders in contact with your mat. Usually through the breathing and the time in the pose, one or the other starts to, or both, slowly let go little by little. Twisting helps to release any tension that might have built up in your spine over the last not quite hour. I like to think of it as a dishcloth kind of wringing out, but it also works with the nervous system, helping to restore the equilibrium. There's some pretty intense poses that stir up our parasympathetic nervous system, get me out of here, and yet you want to be calm, cool, relaxed. And that's your, that get me out of here is your sympathetic nervous system, and you want the parasympathetic, that calmness, to be throughout. So twisting helps to restore the equilibrium. Now inhale your knees back up to the center, undo them, plant your foot soles, lift your hips off your mat so you realign your spine, set your hips down, bring your knees into your chest, wrap your arms around your shins, give yourself a hug, rock over that spine, massaging. Take your time. And when you're ready, let your legs float on down, stretching out. Leave a little space between those legs, space between your arms and your torso. Shoulders come down away from your ears. Tuck your chin slightly to lengthen the back of the neck. Take in a deep breath. Let it go with a sigh. One more time. Deep breath in. Let go. Sink into your mat now, filling your body with a warm, healing light of relaxation. From your toes all the way to your scalp, you're warm,